Welcome to Super Movie Brothers. Let's start the show.
This is a podcast on the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.
Welcome to Super Movie Brothers, episode 101. I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Dave.
I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Jay.
Now that we're done with the pageantry of turning 100, we're just ready to get back to business. And there's a lot of stuff that me and Jay missed while we were preparing for episode 100. And obviously, we didn't have a regular episode before episode 100 either. We had a movie cocktail, so we are far behind on news. And we're obviously not going to go through the entire month of stuff that we missed to pick up on news and stuff. We're going to talk about stuff that we found was interesting in news, and then also do like a quick rapid fire trailer parks, like trailers that drop, because a lot of trailers drop, what we thought of the trailer very briefly, and then move on to the next one. But all that is coming in the next segment, because we got to get into what the fuck have you been up to, man? Because we didn't really get a chance to catch up last week. We had such a long show, which we just had to move on and get into it. So
yeah, we have been doing a lot of stuff, Dave, and it's been a few weeks since we talked about it on air, and it's been fun. I mean, we are just in the thick of things as far as with the podcast and just summer activities with family and friends. And for me, I literally a few hours ago just ran my ass 8 miles in the hilly park in the 100-degree weather. And
Mom spaghetti. Get 8 Mile.
Man.
Balls are sweaty.
I don't recommend it.
Knees weak.
When my buddies
arms are heavy.
When my buddies in town, that's what we do. We get together and go run and just kill each other.
Vomit on my sweater already.
Go figure.
Mom spaghetti.
I'm surprised I'm still functioning today. But anyway, a couple of days ago, my buddy's 30th birthday was in Philly in Rittenhouse Square on a rooftop, and it was at some Richie little apartment house tower, and he was kind of like DJing his own party. But also there was another party going on as well. This 21-year-old gay kid who was out there with all of his friends, and it was getting pretty wild with the parties co-inhabiting and sharing one bathroom, and 21-year-old getting a quickie in the bathroom. And
what?
It got a little fucking nuts, man.
What?
I mean, we're like essentially 10 years older than they are,
which is why you shouldn't be there.
We don't know them. They just live there at the same house, so we have to share the roof because it's an apartment house. You gotta like co-inhabit.
I just wouldn't have a roof party then. Like I just wouldn't have people over to party. Like
I didn't know. I had no idea. I showed up and I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Did you at
here?
least school those kids in like beer pong or anything like that, or was
we actually schooled them on dancing?
That's awful because you can't dance.
Trust me.
Shit. There's something that happens. I don't know whether it's the altitude that makes you dance like a moron because you get less air up there and it doesn't travel down to your limbs as well. But
by the end of the night, I felt so good. I was dancing my ass off like crazy.
And you were the guy that got the quickie in the bathroom?
Unfortunately not. There was it wasn't the greatest girl scene as far as single ladies.
So how did you know that this guy got a quickie in the bathroom? Did he come out and just go, I just got a quickie in the bathroom?
It's a single bathroom. We're all waiting in line and there's 2 guys in there.
Ah, okay. Huh? You know what?
And he was like bombed out of his mind, and it was his birthday.
Why couldn't they just have gone to a bedroom? There's obviously bedrooms around.
21, man. Think about it. You would have done it.
Getting a blumpkin in the bathroom.
Yeah. But I brought me some sunblock and Gentleman Jack, and I was slugging down fucking.
How can you do
20 Coors Lights probably throughout the whole night?
How can you do that? Like, I first off, I can't party outside in the summer because it's just hot. And that's fine, but like if I'm doing it, I can't drink. Like I can't drink a lot because if it's hot out and I start drinking, I just start feeling like this disgusting, gross sweat monster. That's just like I want to rip my clothes off and just be like, just everyone get away from me! I need air. I need air.
That's why we're on the roof.
I'd be walking around drinking a beer with a CPAP machine just to get the air that I need.
It was actually a really nice day. And then when the sun kind of tipped down, and we were in the shade, and then the sun went down, and it was in the nighttime, and it was fucking amazing. So we had a really, really good time, and I got myself out of there just in time before it got a little too crazy.
Rittenhouse Square is an awfully affluential part of the city.
Oh, man. It is, and trust me, all of his buddies were affluential.
Man, like, where do you meet these people?
He meets them.
This is like your Great Gatsby party you had.
This is more like the Great Gatsby story. Yeah, this is definitely something like more like that. I mean, this guy. Yeah, these are all like finance people. Like,
listen
bro, douchebag guys.
Even if you don't make money, if you're tall and good looking, people will just assume that you make money. That's how Jay gets into all these places.
Exactly.
Because he's just tall and good looking, and people just assume he must have money. Look at him. He doesn't look like the curmudgeon.
As long as you know how to dress, you're fine.
If you brought me to that party, people will be like, What's
his deal?
Did you bring a little manservant with you?
It's like, yeah, he's just my pot supplier. No, we don't smoke pot.
This is my mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Does all the talking for me that I don't want to do. That's cool, man. So what I did was...
and by the way, Dave, happy Father's Day, and all the fathers out there listening.
Thanks.
I had a great one with my father, and we just had a big old, barbecue and pool party and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun.
Cool. I took Loghan to the movies for Father's Day to see Incredibles 2. It was her first time at the movies, and she wasn't awful. She wasn't great either, but in a movie theater full of like kids, other kids, it really doesn't matter. Like as long as she like wasn't shouting, which she wasn't, she just kept moving a lot, and she kept playing with the recliner, like the chair would recline, and then she
that farting noise.
She would recline it the whole way, and then she would go to the end of the footrest part and sit on the end of the footrest part to like get as close to the screen as possible. Right. And then there's a few times where it was like the movie was just a little bit too long for her, and she was like,
it's 2 hours, and then you get that little short movie before.
Yeah, she like crawled in my lap at one point and whispered, she goes, "Can we go home?" And I'm like, the movie's not over yet, and she's like, "But after we can go home." And I was like, "Yes, we can go home after the movie's over." It's just it's a lot for a little kid, especially on her first time there. So I think she'll get used to it as we start taking her to more films.
Keep forcing her.
Yeah, so like her mom's already told me that she's going to take her to see Hotel Transylvania 3, something I'm not terribly interested in. So
sure.
I'll let her mom do that.
Good balance.
And we saw the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon 3, which I am super excited for. So my daughter and I both love, How to Train Your Dragon and Toothless. We watched the cartoon series that's on Netflix too, and we watch all the movies together. So when this one comes out, I was like, that's it. I'm taking her in 2019.
I remember that you guys were watching that quite a lot.
Yeah, right.
She discovered that
when she gets into something, she gets into something. And like lately, it's been Incredibles. Like she's just been. Last month was Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. This month it's been Incredibles. Like every time I ask her what movie she wants to watch Incredibles. So going to see Incredibles 2 is just an easy decision to make. But on Saturday night we went to Trenton's Art All Night. It's something for the past 4 years. Me and Lauren have been doing this. Art All Night is this great thing that they do in Trenton, where there's live local bands like starting at like 7:00 all the way throughout the night, and then a bunch of amateur and professional and local artists all submit their artwork and stuff to Art All Night, and it's like these 4 rows of just wall to wall original artwork that you can walk up and down and look at if you want to purchase it. Some people have their stuff up for purchase.
Cool.
And it's like anybody can submit their artwork. Like my niece's artwork was in there. She put something up, and a lot of kids put stuff up, and it's just really great, and it just celebrates the arts and stuff like that. And it's one of the few things that they do in the city of Trenton that is worthwhile, and we love going every year. And there's beer and music and food trucks, and there's kids everywhere and stuff like that. It's just a lot of fun. And we were there for about 3 hours this year. Loghan went to, it was pretty much her first punk rock concert. Lauren's friend Joe is in two bands, Alpha Rabbit and Hana Lee. So we stayed and we saw Joe play with Alpha Rabbit first. That was around like 7 o'clock, and then around like 9 o'clock, Hana Lee went on the main stage, and we were watching them. And I love the music, but the best part was my daughter was into the music. She was jumping around. She was dancing.
Cool.
And Lauren and Loghan were dancing. Loghan would sit on my shoulders and we would bounce around and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, though, we left around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Sometime around 3 o'clock in the morning, though, shots were fired.
Gang-related
violence happened around 3 o'clock in the morning. And ultimately, 22 people were injured. One was dead. And the person who died was one of the suspects that was involved in the initial shooting and was shot by police. Also, there was apparently reported another individual was shot and injured by police because he was holding a cell phone, and the cop mistook the cell phone for a firearm and shot him. But most tragically, there was a 13-year-old boy who is still in critical condition who was shot. And apparently,
it's terrible. I actually know a girl that was left a half hour before the shooting.
Yeah, we left a good.
She was really upset.
We left at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. So we left 4 or 5 hours before any of this stuff went down because we had a little kid. We had to get her to bed. But I'll tell you this: it's probably the last time I'm going to take my kid there. Unfortunately, because even though I think it's great fun and I love going there and I love it and stuff like that, it's just it's just, Trenton is not a great city. It's just not a great city.
I mean, look, we've been there, a few times ourselves, and unfortunately, it's the closest city to us, technically. But it really just, unfortunately, is not the safest place to be. And if they're going to be doing gang-related shootings at a place like that, I mean, that's just idiotic. So unbelievable, ridiculous.
So that's the thing that bothers me the most. It's one of the few things that city does that I can point to and say that is a fucking positive thing that they do. Like it's positive. It's positive to the arts.
And
it's positive for kids.
Mark on that,
It's positive for a lot of different reasons, and it's a lot of fun, and it's all free, and anybody from the community can come out and enjoy it. And if you can't take your shooting a couple blocks over instead of ruining the one good thing your city does, then what the fuck is wrong with you, man?
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for anyone to even have a gun there unless you are the police and you're patrolling the place.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the city puts a lot of money into it, even though it's free and stuff. It's not run by the city. The city does offer up police on overtime, and they offer sheriffs that work at the Department of Corrections to come there and help direct traffic and stuff like that, and keep the pace.
I mean, it's the shiniest spot on Trenton every year, pretty much, right?
Yep.
I mean, it attracts a lot of different kind of people from a lot of different areas, and it's a big attraction for the city.
Yeah, so while we have fun going there and doing it and seeing the live music and getting food, awesome food trucks and stuff too, it's just, if I have my daughter, I can't go there again now. I just can't, because you can't make a conscious decision to take your child to a place where last year 22 people were injured in a shooting there.
22 total. Think about that.
22 total. Yep.
It's just insane.
So
unbelievable.
So that was my weekend, Jay. It was super interesting to say the least. But now I do want to drop a line to someone who actually took the time and wrote us a review. Now, not an iTunes review. Have you?
Yeah.
This is a review that was actually written on their WordPress. So if you go over to promotethepodcast.com, which is their WordPress page, you can see a review that was written for us by Ren. So I'm not going to read Ren's entire review because I want people to go over there and check it out. But it is a very nice review. It's positive, which makes me feel great. But even if it wasn't, I would just be really happy that someone took the time to include us in this Promote the Podcast and reviews and stuff like that.
Very, very surprising and flattering.
But yes, it's very flattering. They talk about how me and you have a great dynamic. They talk about how they really enjoy reviews, and that it's really a podcast that's accessible for people who are both avid film fans, but also not so much so. Avid comic book fans, but also not so much so. So that we kind of can speak to a wide variety of people. And I hope that that's all true. And that, I hope everyone else
that. And
feels
even,
that way.
We've had some family members say that as well, which is great feedback for us, because we want everybody to be able to, enjoy it and listen to us and understand what we're talking about most of the time.
Absolutely. So I encourage everyone to go over to Promote the Podcast's WordPress and to also follow them on Twitter at Promote the Pods on there. I'm just very, very grateful for that. But Jay, we also got some iTunes reviews. One was left for us by Besotted Geek. That's Besotted Geek Podcast. So they write, once they get past the bro stories, the guys really blow you away with their super movie knowledge, from blockbuster to indie films, a must listen for all cinephiles. So thank you very much, Besotted Geek. This one comes from Tony Stark's goatee. They write, an addicting listen that'll have you binging all hours into the morning. God, I need some sleep. Well, thank you for taking the time, losing some sleep, and giving us a listen.
Take a blowfish in the morning, it may help you out.
It works for more than just hangovers. And then the Sex Fecta podcast wrote, I love everything about this podcast. They have a great rapport with each other. The transitions between topics are great. The reviews are well thought out. I love how they throw so much variety into it too. I would love to just sit and talk with these guys. So thank you very much, Sex Fecta Podcast. And then TA_account said, all you need to enjoy this show is a good beer and movies. These guys have great reviews, but more importantly, their humor and banter makes it feel like you're catching up with your friends. Good stories, impressions, and a touch of hilarity. We are new fans. Oh, and this comes from Two Girls on the Bench podcast. So that's who TA account is. It's Two Girls on the Bench podcast. You can follow them on Twitter at Two Girls on the Bench. And then for Better or Worse podcast, they wrote, these guys are awesome. I love the conversation. So upbeat and funny. Download and listen for a good time. So thank you very much to all of you who left us new iTunes reviews. Every bit of them we appreciate.
Love reading those.
All right, Jay, we got some rapid fire to get into. We got a lot of news stories that we want to catch up on and some trailers that we are going to briefly discuss.
This is going to be fun. Let's go.
So stay tuned. All right, Jay, let's get into all the news and trailers that we've been neglecting this past month, man. What news stories do you got up there, man?
Well, we have quite a few. We're just going to rapid fire through these. Reese Witherspoon is going to do another Legally Blonde, the third one.
Dude, this news to me means absolutely nothing.
Well, ever since Big Little Lies, I think she's gotten a little bit more of a popularity uptick a little bit recently. So I think she's kind of riding that high.
So, but right, I mean, she's riding that high, I guess. But
nobody else wants.
Is anyone else riding the Legally Blonde train, like begging for this Legally Blonde 3? I mean, there might be staunch fans of it out there. Yeah. I know that they were very well loved in their day, but I mean, really, it's
stretching.
No one asked for it, and it seems like Reese Witherspoon is just really willing to take a paycheck now, long after everyone has forgotten about her being America's sweetheart. Like, we don't see her as that anymore, and that's okay, because she can advance and mature and age into the actress that I think that she's capable of being, especially watching Big Little Lies, and then
like the Johnny Cash movie Walk the Line.
Exactly, stuff like that. And it's like, but I don't want to see her regress. I don't want to see Legally Blonde 3. I just no. And I'm done talking about it. I don't care. I hope this falls flat on her face.
Me too.
All right. So I got one that this is about John Lassister. So you might remember that amidst some sexual harassment rumors and also some fatigue on his part, John Lassister decided to take a sabbatical from his role as the chief creative officer of Pixar. And he did return recently, just before the release of Incredibles 2. But he has also announced that this is the end. He will be leaving. He will stay with Pixar, but he's going to be stepping down down as the chief creative officer, and that someone else will be taking his place in that role. Now, I find this extremely interesting because I don't recall ever reading anything about him with a sexual harassment.
It came and went kind of quickly. I know. I think it's sort of in house. It's not like a big celebrity. Well,
so I read into some of the claims. Several of them were dismissed as disgruntled ex-employees and people who dealt with him and did not have the most positive experience while working at Disney and Pixar.
I think he was very beloved, but still tough, I think, sometimes. Yeah. But he's also a genius because he really did one hell of a job creating Pixar and putting out amazing properties.
Changed the game for how we watch animated films.
100%.
And really raised the bar for what we expect from animated films. You know, I'm not diminishing the fact that he may or may not have committed some sort of sexual assault. You know, but I would think that if there was any foundation to some of those claims, he wouldn't just be stepping down. Like, he would have been fired, period, gone from Pixar.
Right. But and he is, you know, obviously very beloved in that company because of what he did. And so they're just going to give him a lesser role, and he's just going to step down and, I guess, go into semi-retirement.
Sure. Right.
So I have a little bit of info. This is an interesting one because I think a lot of people are going to love this or hate this. Jared Leto is getting his own spin-off movie for the Joker.
All right.
I don't know how I feel about this.
So what I wonder is, and I read through some of these articles with this, and I'm just wondering, does that mean the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, like you know the other Joker that we were talking about that Warner Brothers was doing? It was kind of like a Joker solo movie that would have nothing to do with the DCEU whatsoever. That was unaffected by this, but now that it's going to be a Jared Leto spinoff, like it's just Jared Leto's Joker. It's like, you know. Is that too much? Like, are you doing 2 Joker movies, or are you going to drop the one where they said that Joaquin Phoenix was...
I kind of think the Joaquin thing was a hoax. I think they were just kind of throwing it out there to see what people thought about it, maybe. That's what it sounds like to me right now. I mean, if this came out, right, that's got to be done.
Also in DCEU news, you know, Jeff Johns is stepping down as their chief creative officer.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. And we know he was brought in to right the ship right after Dawn of Justice. You know, he came in and he was supposed to right the ship. You know, he had a little bit to do with Suicide Squad. He had a lot to do with Justice League, and neither one of those performed up to snuff. And it just seems like you know, he wasn't doing what they needed him to do. Now, he will be sticking on with DCEU because he will be the executive producer of the Green Lantern Corps, and he wrote so much of modern Green Lantern history that just makes sense. But they're gonna be bringing someone else in now as the chief creative officer, which is interesting. And then also with DCEU, apparently, you know, The Rock's Black Adam was set to be the main villain for Suicide Squad 2. That is no longer going to happen. Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke is now going to be the main villain for Suicide Squad 2, which seems like a smart move. But then also you have to think about the implications of, does that mean that Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke isn't going to be showing up in a Batman solo movie? And what's the status of a Batman solo movie? What are you doing, DCEU? Why the fuck why are you announcing shit? You don't even have anything in place. Fucking Aquaman comes out this year, and no one has seen a goddamn trailer for that shit yet. You're just...
It drops in Comic-Con.
You're just burning it all to the ground.
They unleashed a bunch of little midget little interviews and blurbs about the film and a lot of photos, and they announced that the trailer is going to drop at Comic-Con. It's still very weird.
Dude, I
very odd marketing.
I hate fucking Warner Brothers marketing with the DCEU. I fucking hate it. I can't stand the way that this is all being run. I'm not saying like I can side seat drive, like I can do this better than they can, but I might. Like, I fucking might. I don't know, dude. Like, they are just absolutely awful. And it just seems so fucking directionless. Like, from the outside looking in, it looks fucking chaotic at Warner Brothers when it comes to the DCEU.
And it is. That's the weird thing. It's just in shambles. It's all over the place, and they're trying to course correct in various different kind of ways, and it's not working.
Dude, I feel like
In-house.
I feel like just looking at Warner Brothers from the outside, it's like, Jay, have you ever heard of like a squirrel ball? Do you know what a squirrel ball is?
No.
That is when, 3 or more squirrels somehow get their tails entangled.
Oh my God.
And then they spaz out, they freak out, and their tails get tighter and tighter, and they turn into a ball. And
I've never heard of that.
yeah, so it's a thing that happens. That's what the DCEU is. It's a squirrel ball.
Sounds about right.
It's just fucking chaos. And the more and more they struggle, like the tighter that noose gets around them, and the less and less I fucking care at all.
That's the saddest thing. You just don't care as much. You don't get as excited as much.
I could fucking care less about Aquaman right now.
Right.
The trailer could blow me away, and I'm still gonna sit there and I'm gonna go, oh, they'll find a way to fuck this up somehow. Yeah. So, oh man, moving on. So I just got a lot of DCEU news out real quick.
Left the back gate open. Baby's gone.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
All right, editor's note to audience. We had to stop mid-recording to chase down our lost dog, who, unfortunately, I left the back gate open, and luckily it was our slow dog that got out. But my wife was...
They've almost had a divorce.
Yeah, my wife was... Well, because the dog that was lost was her dog. And
it was your fault.
And it was 100% my fault. I wouldn't have blamed her for divorce. But anyway,
understandable.
The dog, as Jay put it, does not have a sprinter's body, and she didn't get too far.
Maybe 100 yards.
But me and Jay on a night when it's like 96 degrees and like 80% humidity.
As I said, I already did my share of running earlier.
Me and you
running in flip-flops.
Me and you sprint off in 2 separate directions. My wife takes the car in the opposite direction. Of course, she's the one that finds the dog, and me and you are left without cell phones, just running in opposite directions. But the dog's back safely. And now it's time to get back to news.
Yes.
All right, Jay, Ewan McGregor may not be confirmed as Obi-Wan yet, but he is confirmed for starring in the Shining sequel, Dr. Sleep, which is another book that was written by Stephen King much, much, much later than The Shining. And I like the casting because I like Ewan McGregor, right? And for the most part, like I like Stephen King as well. I really enjoy most of Stephen King's novels. However, in this case, I'm not crazy about this story. I'm not crazy about Dr. Sleep. I wasn't a big fan of it. Ewan McGregor is going to be playing Danny Torrance, or Dan Torrance as he's older. And after his time spent at the Overlook Hotel, he's somewhat haunted by the ghosts and everything that he met there. So he starts drinking and pretty much he becomes, his father.
Right.
And then he eventually moves away and quits drinking. But as he quits drinking, some of the ghosts return, and so does The Shining. And he works at a retirement home, at a hospice, and he becomes known as Dr. Sleep because he has the ability to know when people's souls are going to be leaving their bodies.
Yeah.
And obviously it has a lot of ties to The Shinings and the events at the Overlook Hotel, as well as new stuff that's going on for Dan.
It's an odd premise. I'm curious to see what kind of angle they go with on this property, and what kind of tone. Like, is this going to be like a straight up drama?
I don't know.
And springtime movie.
And there's something to be said that, like, even the Shining film, it was done by Stanley Kubrick.
Right.
While Stephen King may not have liked it, a lot of people think that is the superior version of the film. So while I may not like the Dr. Sleep novel all that much, they could make some strange changes in this film, and they could even make the film a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's Shining and not so much Stephen King.
Stephen doesn't have any say in it, so.
Yeah, so and he might have executive producer credit on it. Believe me, he might have some say. But we'll just wait and see. I enjoy the casting though. I'm happy with that. So Jay, what else you got, man?
Willy Wonka is back, and WB is trying to find their leads. And right now, apparently, the 3 contestants are Ryan Gosling, Ezra Miller, and Donald Glover. Those are three very, very different kind of actors and styles, and I think each one is an intriguing choice. I personally think that Donald Glover or Ezra Miller would be better fitted. I don't know what kind of movie this is going to be. It's apparently a prequel of sorts. And I don't know why they're making this movie.
I don't understand at all. Like Willy Wonka's not like it's not a thing. This is nothing that like I don't watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and go like, God damn, I want to see more about where that motherfucker came from. Like, right. I don't care about this.
It's more about the factory.
Right.
That's what the movie was really all
about.
The
factory is the interesting part of this. And he is not. Like, if they said, like, hey, we're going to do a continuation with Gene Wilder, and Gene Wilder was still alive, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm in. But in this
even
case,
still, it's kind of like,
but in this case,
don't really need it.
Even with the casting, like, it, that for the people they're looking for, Donald Glover.
Because he's hot right now. Ezra Miller is probably a better fit, but he's also really big in Warner Brothers right now because he's the Flash.
And Ryan Gosling, I mean, that tells you something about the tone that they're going to be going for. They're going to be obviously going for a much darker tone to go with Willy Wonka.
Perhaps, yeah.
And we tried that with the Tim Burton version. Not that was dark. It was just a skewed
Burton kind of spin.
It was a skewed humor that went along with it, and it didn't work. And it just Willy Wonka's not a fucking thing. It's not a fucking thing. No one cares about this.
No. And I'm starting to get a little worried that like every 10 to 15 years, I
just got done ranting about Warner Brothers. They're just spinning their fucking tires, and the back end of them are just going deeper into the fucking mud, and I can't stand it.
And that's what this is.
Dude, I fucking can't stand it. I hope someone over there just gets. I just want a massive staff overhaul. Just burn every contract that you have with everybody.
Hopefully, somebody over there is listening to our podcast and likes us and will hire us.
Doubtful.
We will fix it.
Doubtful.
And guess what? Val Kilmer is going back to Top Gun?
Don't care. I just don't care. I don't even care about this sequel, Jay.
He looks like death.
Because
I saw a recent photo of him. My God.
Because, Jay, he had cancer. He was dying.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
He was dying.
Shit. I feel bad. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm kind of intrigued now how they're going to use him, but they're currently filming this movie as we speak. So, Maveerick, it's called, though. Top Gun Maveerick.
Who cares?
I don't know.
Why? Like, again, we've already seen that long dormant sequels fail.
Cruise and Jerry Bruckheimer is going to be back. I'm not exactly sure who's directing it, but...
Well, it can't be Tony Scott.
God damn, man. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what to make of this. This is another one of those things where I'm like, really? Jay, this is like a Willy Wonka thing. Like, nobody's asking for a sequel. Not this time. Not this late in the age.
Honestly, out of the few stories that we've talked about so far, this is the one like I'm most interested in. Like, I don't care about it.
I need to see a trailer. That's all I gotta say.
It just sounds like the right amount of dumb fun.
Well, yeah.
All right, so
Bruckheimer's good with that.
Currently, an update on the Disney buying Fox saga. We know that Comcast put up the same bid that Disney had put up, and except it was for cash, not stock options like Disney was offering, which was interesting because everyone was wondering what Comcast would do with the Fox properties, and then a lot of people were saying that more than likely Comcast will wind up selling off those properties. Some of them may even go to Disney. Business. Right, and then Comcast winds up making their money back, then some. Now it's being reported that Disney has increased its bid to Fox. No word yet on what it was, whether it's stock options, whether it's cash, but they have increased it to $52.4 billion now in an attempt to fend off Comcast. So, all you people who have been crossing your fingers and squeezing your dick with anticipation that the X-Men will be joining us in the MCU, you can keep holding on for hope because it may happen.
I'm not sure if everyone's heard about this movie, Quentin Tarantino's movie that he is currently filming. Called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
The one that everyone keeps calling, oh, that's a Manson movie. It's not a Charlie Manson movie.
Really.
But
so there is an insane cast in this movie. I'm going to try and quickly run through those names. Margot Robbie, Leo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Dakota Fanning, James Marsden, Al Pacino, Timothy Olyphant, Emile Hirsch, Damian Lewis, Kurt Russell, Luke Perry, Burt Reynolds, Clifton Collins Jr., Tim Roth, Michael Madsen, of course, Zobel, of course. And that's pretty much all the big names, and that's a lot. That's a lot.
I absolutely love the way you say Leo DiCaprio. As if like you guys are just good friends.
I thought I'd try to slip that in there.
Is he in your cell phone as Leo DiCaprio? He's like, my boy Leo.
My boy Leo.
My boy
My
Leo.
man.
Yo, Leo, I just got done watching you in Wolf of Wall Street for like the 10th time. You were the bomb! Oh, shit. You want to get
some Quaaludes?
Let's do some ludes, motherfucker.
I got an 8-ball.
I could see you and him out on the golf course and then tearing up the clubhouse after.
Dude, sign me up. I'm in. I would do anything to party with Leo.
Again, just like Ryan Gosling, though, he's gonna put you back in your place. He's gonna remind you that like we are not friends.
We're not friends. Get the fuck away from me.
Stop calling me. I don't know how you got my number. Stop calling me. But anyway, what's your news about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
The casting. They added all that cast. For the longest time, it was just Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, but they added a whole bunch of great names to this property.
Jay, is your news
It's still a mystery.
Sorry, your news story is that a bunch of people who have been in Quentin Tarantino movies are going to be in another Quentin Tarantino movie?
I'm excited.
Is that your news story?
I'm excited. I'm sorry. I'm excited for this movie. It's fucking
That's your
amazing.
news story.
All right. Well, this is more intriguing. This is more of a conversation news piece, but Matthew Vaughn...
Breaking news. A bunch of people who have been in Quentin Tarantino movies are going to be in another Quentin Tarantino movie. To go over the details of this news story, we're going to throw it over to Jay. Jay, what do you got? Anyway, moving on. What's your other news story that you got?
Matthew Vaughn has plans for a new Kingsman and kick-ass movie. So
what I'm wondering is, Kingsman might be a sequel. I still feel like that franchise has maybe some legs. A third installment might come in and really sell it. Because the second one I had fun with it, but it wasn't strong. It wasn't as strong as the first one was. But I'd like to see a third one in that series. Sure, why not? It's a fun series. I like it. It's tongue in cheek. It's at the very least, it's great fun, great action. Now, Kick-Ass, I read that is not a sequel. Aaron Taylor Johnson will not be back as Kick-Ass. It's a reboot. It's going to reboot it now.
Again, too soon.
Yeah, that is too soon. That is too soon to reboot.
Way too soon, actually.
Why not just do the Hit Girl movie? Oh, that's right. No, she took a break from Hollywood.
Chloe Moretz?
Yeah, Chloe Moretz has taken a break from Hollywood. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was supposed to be Ariel in The Little Mermaid, and then she apparently dropped out of that, and now they in a Little Mermaid live action film that they were doing.
She's had a rough time in Hollywood because she hasn't made any hit movies. She's a great actress. They try to make her a thing, but every single movie that she makes has just been garbage. So I think she's cute. I mean, she's got an awkward little body, kind of.
Jay, she just turned like 18. I
think she got to 20.
You're fucking disgusting.
Shh, stop it.
It's not bad to say that a young woman's ugly, but it's fucking creepy for you to say she's good looking. All right, let's just give up on these news stories. Is that your last news story? Are you done?
All right, so we have a first look.
Oh my God, I get it.
You know what? Wonder Woman 1984.
Steve Trevor's alive. Why does he look the same? How come he didn't age? What's going on? Who cares?
And that's it. We're good. Let's go to trailers.
I'll be honest. The Wonder Woman sequel is like the one thing that DCEU is doing that I'm like, well, I mean, they can't fuck this up, right? Because they already had a good one, right? Like they
kind of already did for me. I was kind of hoping they killed off Chris Pine. I mean, they better have a really good explanation.
Jay, did they kill off Winter Soldier? Did Bucky stay dead? And did you have a problem?
That was a beautiful death. I loved his death scene. It was great. It was the most emotional part in any WB movie in the DCEU.
Even though like it literally was the same way Captain America died. Was it as beautiful when Captain America did it 4 years earlier?
Wow. Don't be a hater, dude.
I'm not. I actually really enjoyed Wonder Woman, and I'm kind of excited for Wonder Woman 2 because all the same gears are in the machine, man.
Exactly, and that's the best thing about it.
So here's hoping.
And look, we loved Chris Pine in that hit role, so like it'll be fun.
All right, Jay, trailers. Let's do a brief little rapid fire trailer park. All right, man. I'm just gonna start off the Dumbo teaser.
Adorable.
So it is.
I'm surprised they kind of teased it this early.
It is extremely adorable. I also extremely cannot stand the later years of Tim Burton's works.
I concur. However,
I concur, Doctor.
I concur.
I concur, Doctor.
I got that word from Leo DiCaprio.
I know you did.
From Catch Me If You Can.
Do you concur, Doctor?
Anyway,
Quick, Doctor.
I mean, this is right up his wheelhouse.
We need 20 cc's of Ativan, and let's get a shock for Tim Burton's career because it needs to come back.
It does.
Because I don't think this is going to do it. So like these,
I think it might.
So like these Disney live action films, like I feel like this is the stopgap, right? Like they're not. They did the Jungle Book. It was a big hit. They're not ready to show you anything from the Lion King or Aladdin live action films yet. So here's this one that was done. And honestly, I've never really liked Dumbo all that much. I never really liked the story of Dumbo. I'm wondering how Tim Burton's going to fit in all those racist crows that were in the original Dumbo cartoon.
Look at here. What's all the ruckus? Come on, step aside, brother. What's cooking around here? What's the good news? What's frying, boy? Just look down here, brother.
Well, in Donald Trump era, anything flies.
Anything
apparently.
flies, yeah. Well, now Disney's more of a liberal company now. It might have staunch conservative, beginnings, but it's a very liberal company these days. So I don't see those crows. I'm sorry, they were also known as the Jim Crows in that film. By the way, racist crows, racist portrayal is just terrible.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm optimistic, though. I think it looked pretty good.
What now? Another Disney trailer that dropped that I really enjoyed, also with ya boy Ewan McGregor. I really liked the Christopher Robin.
Isn't it?
I loved that. Was fucking adorable, dude.
It's very mature, though.
It was.
I was very surprised by how mature the film looks.
Maybe it's time for us to save Christopher.
No, that's the thing. I think this movie's going to be a gut wrencher. Like,
Christopher Robin, you're playing again. I loved seeing Eeyore. I really liked the way all the animals looked.
Yeah.
Like I love the way.
And Ewan's personality is going to be bouncing off of them really well.
It just beamed with like. You can have fun with this movie. It's okay to cry, and it's okay to laugh with it.
I feel like you're in a safe place. It's
I absolutely adored that trailer.
That was a pleasant surprise.
I'm not even like a 1,000 Acre Woods and the Gang fan. Like I'm not either. I didn't watch like Winnie the Pooh growing up. I've watched a couple of the animated films here and there. I'm familiar with all the characters and stuff. But
isn't it cool seeing that they looked like weathered stuffed animals?
Yeah, it was great.
It was gorgeous. I loved it, and hearing their voices, it melted me. I was really surprised by the tone and seeing how mature it was.
I don't know if I'm butting a seat day one, but
we'll see.
I definitely am looking forward to it, and I would definitely, now that Loghan is seasoned and has gone into the theaters, and I know that she can behave, I would probably I'd probably go and take her to see.
Yeah, this was a nice surprise,
and take her to see this. Also, like Lauren absolutely loves Winnie the Pooh, but specifically Eeyore, so it means I get to buy her a new Eeyore plushie, and she would enjoy going too. And another bit of casting in that film that I really liked was Haley Atwell, who you have seen previously play Agent Peggy Carter. We also loved her in an episode of Black Mirror that she did. It was the first episode of season 2, Be Right Back, with Domhnall Gleeson, which is one of my favorite fucking episodes. So Jay, I'm actually really looking forward to Christopher Robin with Ewan McGregor.
Me too.
That is the most positive I am going to be in this trailer park.
Probably.
I promise you. All right, Jay, what's the next trailer?
The Girl in the Spider's Web. So our first look at the new Lisbeth Salander, and I'm a little sour on that still. However, the queen herself is
Claire
playing
Foy.
the character.
I really like Claire Foy. However, I know that I've heard from people that this is also the direction that the books go in as well, where she becomes kind of like a crusader, a vigilante for women's activism, women's rights, and avenging a sexual assault of women in society. And I think that's extremely topical, and I think it's great to see that level of power. And I'm sure they're going to play with the idea that maybe she goes too far and stuff like that.
Well, the opening minute of the trailer was pretty much a one-take kind of scene. Well, it's like a mini blip of a scene, and it was really effective. I'm just really
remiss that we're not going to get a continuation of the original one that we got.
Don't get me started, Dave. I'm trying to
Daniel Craig, and I get it.
I'm a huge fan of that.
I get why they're doing this one, because this one's far enough down in the book series line that like it doesn't really touch upon.
It's not a sequel,
right? It's not a sequel. All right. It's she's now kind of like a James Bond. But I'm just not.
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy about the visual styling of it. I'm really not like. I don't feel like that this story needed to go in this direction. I don't want to see this movie. Like I just don't. I don't want to see the Punisher with her. With Claire Foy. Like, that's just not what I'm into.
I'm just slightly concerned about her selling it for me.
I have no doubt that she can sell it.
Well, I'm sure during the movie, yeah. But the trailer didn't 100% sell it to me just because I am still...
Jay, have you watched...
I gotta admit, I'm a sour.
Have you watched The Crown? Like, have you watched it? You need to watch it, dude.
Okay.
I mean, it seems historical and boring.
No. I mean, it's sort of up my wheelhouse. I would watch it.
I absolutely love that show, dude.
What is the network again?
It's Netflix.
Oh, it is Netflix.
It's a Netflix original series, man. And the first 2 seasons, Claire Foy plays obviously Queen Elizabeth, and the second season end of that was the last time that she'll be playing her. So she won't be back to play her again because they have to age her up now, going into the rest of the 1960s, 1970s. So I think the rumor is Helena Bonham Carter is going to be playing her now.
A character. I'm not sure if it's her.
Okay, but anywho,
but no, I mean the movie. It looks okay. I was surprised to see how much action there was. I'm just
maybe that's what had
cautiously optimistic.
Maybe that's what had me thrown off. The level of
lots of action,
right?
Lots of action.
I'm just not.
Because
super lukewarm on this, man.
The other films were much more slow burns.
This is one of those ones where I'm really going to have to wait for the reviews to start hitting before I really decide whether I'm going to see it. That's
understandable.
Also, I really enjoy the original series that they had running with the 90-minute, girl with the dragon tattoo, girl who kicked the hornet's nest on. They're all streaming on Netflix. They're all in the original language. You can watch them all subtitled. I absolutely love those.
Yeah, they're really, really solid.
So I can always go back to those if I really want to go back to this story.
Well, we have another shitty trailer actually. Is it Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway?
I don't care about this one. Skip this one.
Serenity.
Skip it.
All right, we're gonna
Serenity now.
Don't even watch it. It's
Serenity now.
It's a hot mess.
Serenity now.
Yeah. How dare they tarnish the name Serenity?
The only Serenity is flown by fucking Captain Malcolm Reynolds, my friend.
Bumblebee?
Let me tell you something. A driver don't pick the car. Car pick the driver. It's a mystical bond between man and machine. It's a mystical bond between man and machine.
You got people out there who need you. This is why you're here, B.
You know, beat music can help you say what you're feeling. Try this.
Bumblebee looks like garbage. So Bumblebee has one good thing going for it. In the trailer, you see an original...
He's a little cuter.
You see an original Generation 1 Starscream Decepticon. Like Starscream is flying in, and like I love that. I was like, yeah, Starscream. He's gonna be at least he's fighting some other Transformer in this, and at least this is a little bit watered down, and there's not 900 Transformers fighting on the screen where you're like, I have no fucking clue what's going on.
That was nice. It was refreshing.
But also, like, it seems like it takes place in the 80s. Stars Haley Steinfeld. I'm just
John Cena's some type of military dude.
John Cena. As soon as I saw John Cena's face, I was just like, well, you just shit the bed, didn't you? Quit trying to make him the Rock. It's not happening. Just get the Rock.
He's literally going in his footsteps.
Yeah,
100%. So, and I'm not sure if it's working or not.
No, he's got to lose some muscle tone, or else he's still just like, he just looks awkward on film. He's so big and
he's so like square and chiseled.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know, like his body is
every time I see him, like he just like we just saw Incredibles 2, the superhero Brick.
Yes.
That's John Cena. Just this fucking no-neck guy.
Yeah. That's him.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, the trailer looks awful, but also I wonder why Universal is making the same mistake that Fox made years ago by telling, the origin story of your favorite movie character. Remember when Fox did X-Men Origins Wolverine and everyone goes, oh my god, this is shit. Like, that's exactly what this looks like. And also the rumors are that, like, it might not even be tying in to the rest of the Transformers franchise. It's gonna kind of stand on its own.
I don't think it would.
Which is exactly what X-Men Origins Origins Wolverine did, where they're like, oh, we don't care about continuity of anything else. Fuck, I mean, let's face it, the Transformers continuity is shit as it is. I mean, I don't even know what the fuck's going on. All those movies blend together. I don't remember which is the one where Optimus had a sword, and which is the one where Optimus rode a dinosaur. I don't like. Was that 2, 4, 10? I don't know, but like, I don't care. I don't. Yeah, like just watching this, I was like, I don't care for any of this. I mean, so you're telling me that like. And
again, I think it's sort of too soon. I think they should have waited a couple more years.
But what you're telling me is like Bumblebee just makes these deep, longing relationships with children and then fucking abandons them. Remember when he was like inseparable from Sam Witwicky?
I know.
Well, after 3, he was pretty separable from Sam Witwicky. So
yes,
man, Bumblebee just hits it and quits it, man.
Now he's back in the 80s doing it all over again.
No one cares. Except for that Starscream. Except for seeing Starscream. That's all I cared about was Starscream.
All right, Dave. My boy Gosling.
First man.
First man to walk on the moon. That'd be something.
We've chosen a job so difficult, requiring so many technological developments. We're going to have to start from scratch.
Go and throttle up.
Neil, if this flight is successful, you'll go down in history. What kind of thoughts do you have about that?
We're planning on the flight being successful.
This isn't just another trip, Neil. You're not just going to work.
Do you think you're coming back?
There are risks, but we have every intention of coming back.
Somebody got a Swiss Army knife?
A Swiss Army knife? Are you kidding me?
6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Do you question whether the program's worth the cost in money and in lives?
You're down here and you look up and you don't think about it too much, but space exploration changes your perception. And it allows us to see things that we should have seen a long time ago.
We have serious problems. We've got this under control.
You're a bunch of boys. You don't have anything under control.
First man.
I mean,
Damien Chazelle's
this movie
film.
is right up my alley. I love historical dramas. I do love like based on true story stuff. Like I really like that stuff. But this only works if you believe that we actually went to the moon, and I sure do not.
Oh, you don't?
No, I'm kidding.
There's a lot of people that don't.
I know. I was reading like comments on like the trailer.
So I don't
on YouTube, and people were like linking like.
Oh, I bet. I know.
People were linking like 10 reasons why we didn't actually go to the moon. The moon landing was staged. Neil Armstrong's a fraud. Here's all the reasons why. Watch my documentary about how we didn't go to the moon. Like I love
Kubrick directed this the moon landing.
I love conspiracy theories because I have never believed in anything as much as these people believe in conspiracy theories. I love watching
I love listening to them.
It's fun. I love conspiracy theory documentaries, podcasts, and stuff like that. And
we've listened to a couple.
I especially love it when people who present them believe it as well, because they get so heated, they get so passionate, and I'm not making fun of them or anything. It's just honestly fascinating to me that on
a psychological level too,
that they believe so wholeheartedly, like in this thing that they claim didn't happen or did happen when there's no evidence of it. It's honestly like faith and religion, which I'm also fascinated by. But I just watch it and it's just like, you believe, so wholeheartedly that we didn't go to the moon, and it's like, and you think everyone's an idiot for believing that we did, and it's so this movie's only interesting if you believe that we actually went to the moon, Jay.
Yeah, but really this is a mission movie, and it's going to be a lot mostly taking place before they actually get to the moon, so it's going to be an intense drama, and also in the home as well. So it's not going to be just. Is it going to be
a
space movie?
I feel like I got the ultimate like NASA story with Apollo 13, and that movie holds up today.
It does. No, it really does.
Fantastic. I would love to go back and just watch that instead of this. I mean, Jay, I know it's your boy. It's your boy, and
I'm optimistic. I mean, it looked good. It didn't blow me away as much as I thought it was going to blow me away. My number one trailer is A Star Is Born.
It's
Bradley Cooper's movie. I can't wait to talk about this.
Just talk about it now, because First Man, obviously, me and you.
You're still talking about it?
Yeah, I mean, well,
let's talk about it.
We'll go say it. It's got Gosling, your boy, and Claire Foy. So
and Damien Chazelle.
Yeah, I mean that is more interesting to me than any of the other things.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He's going to be tackling space now. And it has a great cast. It really does. It's got a great ensemble. And Claire Foy is his wife. You're right. And
but we're also getting into the Oscar bait season now, where we're starting to promote. It's an Oscar baity film. He won't win, and it probably won't win Best Film because
we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see. But Jay, all right, A Star is Born. You're dying to talk about this. I asked you not to bring this up in Trailer Park. You're bringing it up anyway.
It's my favorite trailer. I'm so sorry, but it really is.
Do it. What's it about?
It's about an aging alcoholic rock star played by Bradley Cooper, who also directed this movie. And he bumps into this struggling, I guess, late night performer, which is played by Lady Gaga, and he encourages her to become a singer and a star on her own. And on her own, they become a couple, and she becomes popular, and I guess they hit the stage. But the music, and it's all authentic. It's all performed live on stage on these great big festivals throughout the world. And it was so good. I got fucking choked up every single time I watched this trailer.
And now
I've seen it like 10 times.
Jay just added himself as one of Gaga's little monsters. So coming up next, me and Jay are going to be getting into our drunk scene for this week. It's an animated one, which is interesting. And then we are going to get into 3 movie reviews with rapid fire review. I am going to be reviewing Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which I got an advanced showing for with my wife. And then Jay is going to review Hereditary. Yep. And then we are going to come together right now all over all of you as we review Incredibles 2.
Are we going to come all over them? What are you saying?
It's the Beatles song. Come together right now over me. Before me and Jay getting into drinking some beers and doing some reviews for them, we want to drop a line to our sponsor, Blowfish. Blowfish is the only FDA-approved hangover cure. So if you're like me and Jay and you tie one on every now and then on the weekends, you want to make sure that you stock up on your Blowfish and keep it in your medicine cabinet. What you do is you take the 2 tablets that are in there, you drop them into 8 to 12 ounces of water, wait for that to dissolve, drink it down, and in 15 minutes, you start feeling better. So head over to www.forhangovers.com. That's FOR hangovers.com and use our promo code SMBFish to get 15% off of the hangover cure. You won't regret it. We got some beers that we got to review now that the bills are paid. But before we get into the beers, obviously, we got to do a drunk scene. And I thought this drunk scene was incredibly appropriate given one of the films that we're going to be reviewing in the main segment here tonight.
Yep.
Buzz, hey, Buzz, are you okay?
Gone! It's all gone. All of it's gone. Bye-bye. Woo, see ya.
What happened to you?
One minute you're defending the whole galaxy, and suddenly you find yourself sucking down Darjeeling with
Marie Antoinette and her little sister. I think you've had enough tea for today. Let's get you out of here, Buzz.
Don't you get it? You see the hat? I am Mrs. Nesbit.
Snap out of it, Buzz!
I'm sorry. You're right. I am just a little depressed. That's all. I can get through this. Oh, I'm a sham. Shh, look at me. I can't even fly out of a window. But the hat looked good. Tell me the hat looked good. The apron is a bit much.
Out the window, Buzz. You're a genius.
All right. So obviously, because me and Jay both saw Incredibles 2, we decided that it's the best thing to do to have a drunk scene would be to find an animated drunk scene. And this obviously comes from Pixar's big first-time release, Toy Story. So I absolutely love this scene. The scene cracked me up as a kid, and it still makes me laugh today. And one of the nice things about this scene is,
as an adult, right?
Yeah, like watching it now, like I didn't know know he was drunk when I was a kid.
No.
Number one. And then I certainly didn't pick up on I'm drinking Darjeeling with Marie Antoinette and her little sister. And it's just like, it's a joke that like you get now because like if you're an adult, you know Marie Antoinette was beheaded, and both these beheaded dolls are sitting right there in front of them. and I it still cracks me up. I haven't gone back and watched Toy Story in quite a few years, but I'm starting to think maybe I should give it
I'll watch it with
visit.
you.
Yeah, I'll give it another visit.
I'll give it a whirl.
I remember being just endeared with that movie and charmed by it, you know, which who knows, maybe we felt the same way about Incredibles 2. We will get to that in the next segment. But Jay, what beer do you got to review for us?
Well, we both have 2 double IPAs from Stone Brewing Company. Mine is the Enjoy by 7418. So the 4th of July, you need to drink this by, and it's an unfiltered IPA. It's a defiantly independent double IPA. 9.4 alcohol by volume, and this one definitely doesn't have as strong of a alcohol taste that a normal double IPA has. I mean, maybe the unfilteredness kind of balances it out somehow a little bit, but it does have a little bit of a bitter end that isn't overpowering, and I overall really enjoy it, surprisingly. I will actually give this a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. I did buy 2 because I always try to buy at least 1 can of the Enjoy By series because I really like that Stone has this Virginia based brewery right now where they do a lot of their more experimental beers and stuff, and that's what the Enjoy By series is. I mean, each Enjoy By that you get every quarter is different than the one that came before it, and they'll never repeat the recipe, which is it's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, this is by far the most drinkable double IPA I've ever had, I think.
Yeah, and I also have an unfiltered double IPA from Stone, and this one is Fear Movie Lions. Apparently, they came up with this name by this mnemonic device they use within the brewery. What 3 words? So I guess that this is the 3 words that they chose that wound up being the name of the beer. But this thing is 8.5% alcohol per volume, and I gotta tell you, man, it's awfully bitter. It is very, very fragrant, but then very extremely bitter on the back end. Not very refreshing at all. This thing is just hopped to the max, man. Its IBUs are up there. It does have a little bit of like winey flavor to it from citrus, and it is a little bit darker in color. So there's definitely some caramelization that went on to this. It's just it's not the type of IPA that I usually go for. I usually like my light yellowy danky ones, but it's not terrible either. It's definitely well crafted. It's definitely well made. I just lately have not been really enjoying double IPAs so much. I always feel like a double IPA.
Normally don't.
A double IPA, that's a winter IPA, right? Like an easy day drinker is.
It puts a little hair on your chest.
Yeah. So for these hot summer months, I wouldn't really normally reach for this, but I still really enjoy it, and I'm going to be giving it a 4 as well, man.
Cool.
Coming up next, me and Jay got a little bit of a movie review rapid fire. Jay's going to do a review for Hereditary. I am going to do a review for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And then together we are both going to review Incredibles 2. All right, Jay. So you may have remembered that 2 weeks ago, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom actually came out internationally before it came out here in the States, which is always, for a lot of films, seems to be a pretty bad sign as of late. It means that they're pushing for those international ducats more than they're looking for the for the domestic box office. Mm-hmm. So I actually got lucky, and a radio show gave me and Lauren some tickets to see
it's awesome.
it on a Saturday night. 2 weeks before it actually came out here in the States. So that was last weekend while we did episode 100. I actually didn't get to do a review for it on episode 100 because I didn't want this to tarnish our episode 100 at all. But I get to do it now, which, will come out pretty much now. This review will come out the weekend that the movie releases here in the States. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. You may have remembered that me and you pretty much lampooned it. We dogged it. We shit on it on every single trailer park that we did on it. But somehow I got bitten by the excitement bug, and I actually got excited to see this movie because it's fucking dinosaurs. It awakens this child inside me that's just like, fuck, it doesn't matter because dinosaurs are still fucking cool. And even Owen said it in Jurassic World, the first one that came out in 2015, when he said they're dinosaurs. Wow, enough, right?
Yeah, but it's true. Exactly.
So I got really excited. There's this cell phone game that's out. It's basically Pokemon Go for Jurassic Park. It's Jurassic World Alive, where it uses Google Maps. You go around, you catch different dinosaurs, you use them in battles, you upgrade them, you do all this fun stuff. Me and Lauren have both been pretty fucking addicted to it for the past 2 weeks or so. I really enjoy it. It's better than Pokemon Go, but it's fucking marketing. And it got me, and I was really excited. So I took this offer that we got from the radio station, and we went and saw this film. And man, fuck. Oof, let's just get into it. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. So Claire and Owen return to Isla Nublar on a rescue mission to save all the dinosaurs before the volcano erupts.
Okay, understandable.
Which will destroy everything on Isla Nublar where Jurassic World took place. But this just proves how inept the companies of InGen and as Majorani were to build this park on an island that had an active volcano. You never once brought a seismologist out to be like, yeah, this thing could blow. Because they can look at volcanoes and know that an eruption is possible within the next 10 to 50 years, right? You can tell that's what seismologists do. But no, so it didn't matter whether the Indominus Rex escaped in the last movie or not. No matter what, Jurassic World has always been doomed, which means Ian Malcolm is always right. And chaos and life will find a way.
Chaos must ensue.
Right. And the world will correct itself, and maybe this eruption is a cleansing of this abomination that's been created by man and science. But anyway, so one of the things that really bothered me about this film was, first and foremost, the story. The plot is awful. It's terrible. And it feels a little bit derivative of The Lost World in some ways, even though it does take it into a far different direction than The Lost World did. The story is absolutely weak. Especially our main characters are absolutely weak. I don't buy into anything they're doing. I don't buy in that Claire would work for the Dinosaur Protection Organization. There's just things that go on in the film and reasons for the film happening where it's just I feel like they had these great philosophical ideas that they wanted to continue with those plot threads and then add some new layers to it, and the story just didn't do it well enough. And unfortunately, because this is going to be a spoiler-free review, I really can't get into too many details, but they do get into the philosophy of whether it's right to clone things, and do these things deserve to live? What is their level of humanity and what is their rights? Stuff like that. And I'm down with that. I'm down with those philosophical questions. I just don't like the packaging that it came in.
Well, this was written by this guy named Derek Connolly, who's kind of new to this scene, but he's done Jurassic World and Kong Skull Island, which makes a lot more sense now.
Kong Skull Island was shit. Oh my God.
But it was also Colin Trevorrow was also a writer too.
Go back and listen to our review, Kong Skull Island. Pile of shit. So
Colin Trevorrow was also a writer as well.
Oh man!
So they both wrote it together because they're buddies. They done a couple things together. But
wow, fuck!
It just doesn't make any sense because you think that Colin would have a little bit more understanding,
and he's the one that before this movie came out, kind of which was a big cautionary to fans, where it's just
so they're literally trying to blame this on the current director. J.A. Bayona, which is
right. So hold on.
I don't know if that's you can get into that because I haven't seen this movie yet.
Right, so before I talk about J.A. Bayona, I actually really enjoyed some of the shots in this film. There's other shots that I really threw my eyebrow up high and questioned. One of them involves a panning shot of Owen, and he's kind of like running through this room and he's beating up armed guards and he's disarming them and he's knocking them out, and it's like a panning shot so he's doing this, and I was like, that looks ripped straight out of like a comic book film. Like it just looks right out of a comic book film, and it doesn't feel at home here in this. And I'm watching it and I was like, they took the genre of action adventure dinosaurs and they cut off the adventure part and they went action dinosaurs, go. And they kept telling you the whole time that this was going to be a film that was more of a horror film than it is anything else, and it is.
They did preach that they did a lot of practical effects.
They spent 2/3 of this film in one location, and the dinosaurs are in an enclosed space, and it's pretty much House on Haunted Hill. Your monsters are dinosaurs. But so J.A. Bayona has an interesting history with Jurassic Park in that. The history of getting to Jurassic World, Jurassic Park 4, was a notoriously awful road. I mean, there has been multiple scripts, multiple directors attached to it. Steven Spielberg himself was coming back at one point.
Yeah.
And they always, went back to the fact that the story just wasn't strong enough. It just wasn't good enough. The script wasn't good enough. But they all involved these ideas of weaponization of dinosaurs, and they all involved these ideas of eventually selling dinosaurs for profit to highest bidders, and to the philosophical questions therein that arise from that. All of them involved that in some ways. Now, some of them got really weird, where it was like splicing dino DNA with human DNA and shoulder-mounted guns, using raptors in active war zones with guns mounted on their back, and they're being controlled by remote and stuff like that. Jay, I want to warn you, some of that stuff is in this movie.
Oh, don't tell me that.
That stuff shows up in this film. However, completely watered down and not as outlandish as some of those other scripts. You can actually read one of the proposed Jurassic Park 4 scripts online. It leaked online years ago, and it's pretty garbage. It's fucking garbage. But I don't know whether this was any better. So moving on, it really just felt like they dropped the adventure portion of this. Putting dinosaurs in a familiar setting, you really lose a lot of the mystique of it. Not seeing them out in this jungle, not seeing them out in the wild and stuff like that. Because humans were on their turf. They're on their terms in those other films and stuff. So
I would have a difficult time seeing them out of their element. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just does not. I'm getting taken out of the movie once they're in the city and once they're in a bedroom or whatever or something like that. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right, but like I said, there were some good things in this film that I saw, but a lot of them were cool shots. Like that shot was cool. That effect was cool.
Okay.
That moment was cool. But all of them are fleeting, and when they pass, you're just kind of sitting there and you're like, when's this over? When is this over? And for me, one of the most egregious things, one of the things that bothered me the most was that dinosaurs were no longer there is a dinosaur that's.
Were you watching it and feeling what's the point of this movie?
Yes, 100%.
The whole time.
I'll get to that.
Yeah,
but while watching this, there is a movie monster. It is the Indomnoraptor. Now we had the Indominus Rex. Now we got the Indomnoraptor, which is another genetically modified thing that Dr. Wu made. And I was just left wondering, why are we retreading this? Why are we retreading a path that we did in Jurassic World #1 with genetically altered dinosaurs? And why are we retreading the path of the Lost World Jurassic Park, from 1997? Why are we retreading this stuff? And then adding more layers of bullshit on top of it that just wind up not making sense. But for me, the thing that just made it the worst was, even though we got a movie monster that was another genetic altered dinosaur, dinosaurs themselves were no longer the movie monsters. The dinosaurs that we're familiar with now were no longer movie monsters, right? they were more of plot devices. And what I think the worst part is, like, they're almost characters in themselves now, to the point where you know what's going to happen in a scene because this dinosaur is there and that dinosaur always does this, namely the T-Rex. Right. So like the T-Rex will show up to either save the day or deliver dino justice to the baddie because it's in her character. Like, right. Like, I feel like that's a word they said, like, oh, Rexy would do that. That's in her character. That's what's wrong. That's just not how this is. It literally, Jay, I feel like it sucked all of the fun out of this film, out of this franchise, completely. And it just became so formulaic at that point that I was just like, when I was like calling out what's going to happen, T-Rex is going to show up now because that's what T-Rex does. Blue, the raptor, is going to show up now because that's what Blue does, right? And then we saw in the trailers that, like, oh, dinosaurs are going to be interacting, like T-Rex roars at a lion and the lion roars back, and Mosasaurus is in the waves as surfers. I said this was spoiler free, and I'm sorry to do this, but I'm going to throw up a big spoiler warning right now. Skip ahead 35 seconds.
Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning.
All that stuff is at the very end of the movie. They literally, the majority of their trailers were the first third of the film when they go to the island to save the dinosaurs, and the last points of the film, the last 5 minutes where they show every dinosaur after they release them into the wild.
The fuck?
Jay, it's fucked up. So I go... Spoiler over. So I go back to I go back to when I watched interviews and stuff with Kathleen Kennedy when she worked for Amblin Entertainment under Steven Spielberg, and she was discussing after the death of Michael Crichton whether or not it'd be right or worth it to do a Jurassic Park 4. Well, here we are now doing what is essentially Jurassic Park 5, and I remember her saying at the time, it'll only ever happen if the right script and the right story came along. And here we are now. You know, this has come out, and having both Steven Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy said that, and Steven Spielberg's still involved. Why was this made? Why was this okayed? What would have been wrong with waiting another 2 years for a better script to come along?
It made that much money, and they put a rush on it.
Film's garbage. Film is absolute garbage. It's
just simply
it is not the worst
problem with the studio system.
It's not the worst in the series. It's not Jurassic Park 3. It's slightly better than that. So I mean, I'm going to be giving this film a C-, which, you know, is still somewhat passing. You know, but it's just not there. Like, none of the components were there. I didn't feel like I was watching a Jurassic Park film, like, whereas in the
even a quality film,
whereas like in the first one, you know, they did a serviceable job of paying homage to the original. This one paid homage to a far lesser film in The Lost World, which it's just, and when you pay homage to a lesser film, you get a lesser product.
Well, I'll let you guys know what I think of it when I finally get to see this movie.
All right, Jay, Hereditary, buddy. What you got?
But I will. So, Hereditary, this is going to be a lot shorter than Dave's review. It's an original film written and directed by Ari Aster, who's this is his first feature, actually, and this is surely one of the more talked about horror films of recent years, I believe. Love it or hate it. I think you know, in the vein of like The Witch, for example, A24 did both of those properties. They released them, and this is a lot more accessible than The Witch. But I did very much enjoy this movie. This one actually has a 91% Rotten Tomatoes score, but a cinema score of D+.
Yes.
So a lot of the viewers, like I was telling Dave,
that's what I was going to get into.
I think it's a little bit of the marketing being a little bit misleading. It's quite brutal. Like, Jay, this is a very brutal movie.
Jay, the marketing is The Exorcist for the next generation. So everyone's going in there and they are expecting The Exorcist for the next generation. And what they are more or less getting is a very boring story about a girl who clicks her mouth.
No, not really.
Dude,
Dave has not seen this movie.
I have not. No, but I have had a couple people talk to me, Shampoo, who fucking hated it. Shampoo from the Luke Ross podcast on episode 100. He absolutely hated this film.
Yes. On episode 100, I know we were talking about that a little bit, and I didn't get into it.
He compared it to like It Comes at Night, where it's like the marketing just didn't match the film, so your expectations are off completely going into it because you're expecting one thing and you're getting something a lot different.
And I was happy about that.
Okay.
Even though I liked the marketing, I was very much happy and surprised by the film. I mean, it's smart in this day and age. You know, with horror-esque movies, you have to put your own spin on it, and definitely this is different compared to the Purges of the world. You know, things like that.
Which I enjoy the Purges for what they are.
I'm sure you do.
I like the original Purge and the second one, not so much the third one, and now they have the prequel one coming out, which looks terrible. But what I wanted to, so like the pre-synopsis for the film is the grandmother dies. The grandmother had some sort of attachment to the occult, and now the daughter has some sort of paranormal things going on around her that are reminiscent of things that the grandmother did.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
There we go.
Perhaps. There's a lot of surprises and twists in this movie. This is going to be very vague. I mean, it's much more of a dark family kind of drama story in a lot of ways, and scenes that ramp up the mystery and the paranormal.
So less of The Exorcist, more of we got to talk about Kevin.
Kind of. The performances are all around just really, really fantastic, and more than anything, the casting I thought was fantastic as well. It's really some good choices on that aspect. A lot of young actors that I haven't seen before, and Toni Collette was fantastic. They're already talking about trying to get her an Oscar nomination, and Gabriel Byrne, I loved him in Treatment, that short-lived little show on HBO a long time ago. That was one of my favorites, and he was fantastic as well. Moreover, the directing. The directing was so fantastic. This guy is going to be something. He's gonna have a bright future. I'm really curious to see what he does next. I'm telling you right now, for me, this is my kind of horror movie. This is my kind of movie that works on every kind of level, and I appreciated the hell out of it. And it's like, what the fuck kind of movie? And I'm gonna give this an A.
I think the difference between like some other people's opinions on it is like, for a guy like Shampoo and a guy like me going to see this film, we are expecting a horror movie first. And if that horror movie has great directing, great acting, and is a well put together machine like It or something like that, then we're really pleasantly surprised. If there's a bit of like a bait and switch where it winds up being more of a drama with horror elements, it throws you for a little bit of a loop when you go in to see it. If you're expecting to be scared or to see horror elements that you enjoy seeing, which is probably why it gets a cinema score, because the people going out to see this looked at the Rotten Tomatoes and went, this movie's good. Well, I got to go see this. This is the new Paranormal Activity. I can't wait for Hereditary 2, 3,
the younger,
and Hereditary 4, the final chapter.
Younger crowds won't like this.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'm happy you enjoyed it. You enjoying it and me hearing mixed things actually really intrigues me. It's not one of those things I'm going to go to the theater to see, however.
I really do want you to see it, though.
Unless we have nothing else to do, I'll probably catch
I'm not saying see it in the theater, but I just want you to see it eventually.
If it's A24, that studio, I believe, is partially funded by...
That's my new focus features.
A24 is partially funded by Amazon, so all their stuff goes to Amazon Prime pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So when it's on Amazon Prime streaming, I will definitely check it out, and I will give you an update on what I think about it.
Cool.
Because I saw The Vivitch in the theaters, and I saw It Comes at Night in theaters, both A24 horror productions. And
well, I forget what your take is on The Witch, but I know we did like...
We both liked The Witch. But
It Comes at Night.
It was not... I enjoyed It Comes at Night as well. Both of them were not movie theater movies for me, though. I would have much preferred to saw them in my own home and probably gotten a better experience.
Well, that's where you and I differ. I mean, I do appreciate watching things at home, but I also can really get into movies at the theater. So I do enjoy singing in both aspects. And again, my movie pass I fucking love. So I pretty much can see as many movies as I want for $10 a month. I love it.
Well, I'm glad that you really did enjoy Hereditary. But we got another film to review, a film that we both saw this weekend. I'm not going to lie, man. this one is so far rivaling Infinity War for my film of the year.
Here comes Elastica, stretching her arms, Elastica.
Who's the cat who's always chill when survival odds are close to nil?
Frozen. Mr. Incredible, 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 catching the bad guys, pow, pow,
pow. And we are, of course, talking about Incredibles 2. So, the long-awaited sequel from The Incredibles, 14 years in the making. It's been 14 years since the original came out. This one finally hits the theaters. Everyone is back, and it's firing on all cylinders. It picks up literally minutes after the last one left off and takes our characters just several weeks after the events of Incredibles 1. And
smart.
Yeah, and it was. And one of the things like I love about The Incredibles is this 1960s, early 70s feel that it has with some of the Art Deco designs and stuff like that, and the neo-modernism and stuff like that that's going on in it. It's very reminiscent of something else that I really love, which is Batman the Animated Series, which takes like this very 1940s dark noir approach.
Well, I think it's actually a little bit easier for the animators to create on screen, but also at the same time, it's eye-catching.
Exactly.
And popping. And let's just start off and say, this is written and directed by the great Brad Bird.
Oh, yeah. And he wrote and directed the original one, too.
Yes, yes. Well, he's done other movies as well.
And he also did one of your favorite film franchises, the Mission Impossible series.
Yep, the fourth one.
You're right. Yeah, he directed Ghost Protocol. He's also directed, obviously, for Pixar before, with like we said, The Incredibles 1, Ratatouille. He also directed the really lampooned and underwatched and underloved and justifiably underwatched and underloved Tomorrowland, which I hated. But that's his black mark. He honestly did an animated film that I love to this day. Many people love. He was the writer and director behind The Iron Giant, which I absolutely love. It was like his first animated feature.
Oh, okay.
Love that film. So the franchise was in good hands, and seeing it back here, I was very excited for this film when it was announced.
I love the trailer.
I love the fact that like the trailers didn't give anything away.
Zero. It was just like, we're back.
Yeah.
Come join us. There was some funny little zingers, and that was it. That's all you needed. That's the great thing about these animated movies sometimes. And this is coming from a non-animated lover. And a guy, I actually did see the original one at my buddy's house ages ago on his wall projector.
It's one of my top animated films ever made, The Incredibles 1.
And I remember enjoying it. It was a lot of fun.
And one of the things that I love about The Incredibles in the first one and now in the second one is the fact that like it's a movie about a family first. Like it's about the parents and the kids and their interactions first, and a superhero movie second, which is it's a completely different take on superheroes that you don't get with Marvel Cinematic Universe or DCEU, and you don't get in modern superhero movies, right? Like we get dark inner turmoil with our characters in those, and we do get personal moments in those, but we don't get family. We don't get to see a family of superheroes. Fantastic Four could do that right, but they never have. And here it's just the formula, and it feels so effortless the way that they do it. Just blending,
real effortless,
right?
Yeah.
Blending, the drama and the humor that comes with being a parent. And my God, everything that happens with Jack, I thought was going to be too much. But it works.
Could not have enough.
It works.
You couldn't have enough.
I'll just say that a baby...
That was the movie for me. That stole the movie.
A baby fights a raccoon for 2 minutes, and I was not bored at all in those 2 minutes.
That was so brilliant.
It was just so well done, and it just oozes with charm and glee, and it's just so happy to be there, and I'm just happy to be there watching it. And,
I know, and actual family dynamics that are relatable,
right? And
for a lot of people.
Also, it tackles some modern, social issues as well. Like,
yeah, a little bit.
The first one really tackled the idea of reliving your glory days and being a man who feels out of time, right? Like one day you wake up, it's 15 years later, you feel like you've done nothing with your life and you want nothing more than to go back. You're going through a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And so the first one was very much Mr. Incredible's story, where this time it's more about Elastigirl and her story and the women taking center stage in this, because it's her and Void, who is a new character that I love, and I loved her power. I love the way that they used it.
A lot of people were saying it's riffed on Kristen Stewart, which makes sense.
That's okay.
It's fine.
That's okay. You can take things from the real life and you put it in animation. One of the things that makes animation great. But I really like that, and I love the gender role reversal of
I loved it because it really, really worked.
Right, the Mr. Mom, where here's Mr. Incredible, the world's strongest man, and he can't figure out how to relate to his kids in a way that a parent should, and he's
Can't
realizing
sleep, just like Dave.
Right, he never spent time with them, right. I mean, he was in their lives, but he wasn't part of their lives, and now here he is, their sole caregiver, and he doesn't have a job, and he's home all day, and you do realize that, like, being a homemaker, being someone who stays at home,
it's a lot harder than you think.
Word up to my boy Chris Brayton at The More Gooder Than, being a stay-at-home dad or a stay-at-home mom, that's fucking work. That's work, man.
It is.
It's in the trailer, but one of my favorite, like, new math. Why do they have to change math? And they
That's
go, all right, Dad, all right. And
math is math.
I absolutely there's just so much to love about this movie. And like I said, all the new supers are great, but I also like the fact that we got more of Frozone. We got more of Samuel L. Jackson's character in this. And I loved how he ran from the cops. Did you notice the black superhero was the only one that knew to book it when the cops showed? I got a kick out of that.
No, in his role was just right. It was just enough. It worked well in the story. I mean, do you want to get into? Do you have any negatives?
Fuck no, I don't got no negatives, man.
My only negative is
this movie was made for me.
The antagonist didn't have a good enough reason to be an antagonist.
It was
and especially.
If I had to pick a negative,
I don't want to say anything else because I'd say spoilers.
I would say that the antagonist's identity was telegraphed and obvious from the beginning.
That too, yeah.
When a certain character appeared, I looked right at my wife and I went, that is screen.
It took a couple ticks off for me. Yeah.
That is screen slaver. That's the bad guy. And Lauren's like, yeah, probably. And it turned out to be right. But that doesn't matter so much when that, their fight against the main villain is not the point of the story, right? Like,
no, I know, but I mean,
it's
just the reasoning behind it and that it was so obvious.
Oh no, I thought it made sense.
Kind of annoyed me.
I thought it made sense.
Yeah,
I thought it made sense. I thought I was okay with it. It made sense, and it made sense in that we're putting this to you in a way that both children and adults can understand.
I guess,
right? But I also like the idea of how they said, like, we're gonna bring supers back, but we have to do it smart. We have to do it. We have to show people why supers are great, because like they said, like if when you watch natural disasters, all you see is the destruction, right? The stories of heroes only come out later on.
True.
So if you think of like a superhero event as being like an act of destruction, then you only see the aftermath, and you only see this superhero standing next to piles of rubble.
I did like that aspect.
So
of the
I
film,
really like that aspect of the fact that, like, we need to show people why supers are needed, and we need to document them doing what they do so people can see what they go through and realize how much they do for us.
I did like that.
I really enjoyed that, because I feel like that was almost like an allegory of, because remember, they're superheroes wearing body cams. It's an allegory for police today.
That's wow. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's very true.
So,
yeah.
I that might have bordered on a little bit too much spoiler, but I'm not going to get into like very deep plot points. But that's more like
it is. No,
and it's more of like a philosophical plot point that's in the film that I thought, like I said, like even though it takes place in like the 60s, 70s era and stuff like that, they found ways to put like more modern problems and philosophical questions into it that adults can watch and really relate to, but all kids are watching is Jack turning into a demon flaming monster, beating up everybody.
So adorable, so fun, so unpredictable.
It's just, Jay, I couldn't have asked for a better sequel. And I might say that, like, so in a short list of films where sequels outdo the original one, this one is up there. It's very close to, I'm not saying it's better than.
I would have to rewatch the first one.
But in 100%, oh, Jay, Logan has had me rewatching the first one for months. So when I say this one, would I watch this one again before watching the first one? Of course, because I've seen the first one so many times recently. But this one is 100% a perfect companion to it. And it just absolutely
it opens the door for another sequel.
It does it right. It just does it right, and I absolutely loved it. I don't know whether it'll do another sequel. If they ended here, I'm happy with that too. I don't want to press my luck. I don't need a. I don't
come back.
I don't need a Toy Story. 4
with this weekend. With this weekend box office, they'll be back.
It was just worth it. I really enjoyed it. Everybody needs to get out there. They got to see it in the theaters. It is probably one of the best superhero films that has been out in a very long time. Like I said, it's rivaling, for me, it's rivaling Infinity War for my favorite film of the year so far. Jay, what's your score for it, man?
I'm going to give this an A-.
Oh, Jesus, man.
I told you, the antagonist part of it,
oh my
God, took a couple ticks off.
You missed the point then, because that is the least point of the film. Jesus, I give this an A+. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Look. That was the only aspect of the movie. I had to tick it off.
It's an animated film. You don't need the Joker in it, for Christ's sake. You don't need Heath Ledger's Joker in it, for bastard.
It was too obvious, and I didn't like her reasonings. It wasn't strong enough. That's it. That's all it was. That was my only negative blip about this movie.
Fair enough. So if you have seen these films, you want to reach out to us, you want to discuss them, you can reach out to us on Twitter at SuperMoviePod. If you want to remain spoiler free, just reach out to us, send us a tweet, and we'll respond. If you want to go more in depth with us, then if you follow us and we follow you back, send us a DM. Let's have a little bit of a discussion on it. You can also reach out to Jay on Facebook at Super Movie Brothers Podcast.
And check out the Untapped app. See what we're drinking. All the
UNTTPD Untapped on iOS and Android. Download the app and just search the Super Movie Brothers on there. Make sure to, if you are a drinker and you want to give Blowfish a try, get over to www.forhangovers.com.
We love it.
FORhangovers.com, and you use the promo code SMBFish. And I hope that if you really enjoy the show and you want to leave us a review, like some of the reviews we read at the top of the show, then head over to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and write us a review. Even if you don't give us 5 stars, just let us know what's going on. Let us know what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show. It helps us grow, helps us get found.
We always appreciate it.
Yeah, and we love reading them on the air, good or bad. So I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Have a great night. Cheers.
Cheers.